What's going on, LEGO Maniacs? It's Ty, the LEGO guy here, and today we're doing a LEGO Stars comparison. We're taking a look at the two Snowtrooper battle packs that have ever been made. The first one is the 8084 Snowtrooper battle pack. It had 74 pieces, 4 minifigs, retailed for $11.99, and it came out in 2010. And we'll be taking a look at the brand new one, which is the 75320. It had 105 pieces, 4 minifigs, retails for $20 US, and it came out in 2022. Now this one should get interesting because battle packs have obviously gone up in price. Is it warranted? Is it not? Is the newer one better than the older one? Or is the older one better than the new one? We're gonna get into all that, but enough talk, let's get right into it. And to start us off, we'll begin by taking a look at the two larger builds that make up the set, although the speeders are roughly the same size, being the landscapes and the kind of little Imperial command center. You guys a 360 view of both of them. We'll also be taking a look at the E-Web Blaster, which I have to say is really well designed, but we'll get into exactly why. In my books, the landscape is definitely filler. You don't really need it all that much, but it gives a decent representation of, the Battle of Hoth. They were fighting in trenches and whatnot, and it makes sense. Now, the command center, which will actually just show that off a little bit more, actually has a little computer piece right here. It's one of those city pieces that they use a lot, and you can actually raise and lower the turret. This is a flick fire missile. We all know how these kind of work. They're a little bit tricky to shoot off, which is part of the reason why I think that they stopped making them. That was impossible. But I do like the command center just a little bit more than the landscape, although we don't see anything like that from the movie, but it is a cool little inclusion. Giving you guys a little bit better view of the landscape though. This is pretty basic. There's not a whole lot going on. Give you guys a little bit better view of the back. Again, I think it's filler. If they remove this, the battle pack would probably be worth about 16 US, I'd say, give or take. But what is really good about this set is the E-Web Blaster. Now this thing looks much like what we see from the actual movie, and it has a stud shooter. I actually don't mind the new stud shooters. I think they work quite well. And if you don't like it, bang, just remove it, and now it looks very movie accurate. But those are the first couple builds. Let's now take a look at my favorite part of either of these sets, which is the speeder bike. And here we have the two of them. So we have the older one on the left and the newer one on the right. Give you guys a 360 view. What's interesting is I actually thought they couldn't really improve on the speeder bike all that much, but they have. As much as I like the older one, the newer one just outdoes it. It's more to scale, it's more detailed, there's more pieces that make it up. The older one very smartly kind of used a motorcycle piece or a quad piece, which worked, and it still works today. This doesn't look terribly dated, but you can just see how much better the older one looks, or the newer one looks in comparison. Now, giving you guys a little bit better view of the older one. This is what I'm talking about. It's just one of those quad pieces, and it worked for its time, but the newer one is just far more detailed. Like, they used skis on the bottom of the older one. With the newer one, they use these clamp pieces, which just works much better. These pole pieces don't go out as far, and it actually has a little control panel, just adding a little bit more detail. Again, the older one is not terrible, but it has nothing on this in my books. Let's now take a look at the minifigures. And here we have the two Snowtroopers from either battle pack. So the older one is on the left and the newer one's on the right. I will say that this is probably one of the closest I'd come as far as ratings go. I like both these troopers for different reasons. The newer one has more detail, obviously, and he also has face printing. I'm gonna mention right now that all the Snowtroopers actually have different face printing for the new battle pack, different human prints, whereas the older one is just a plain black face. But what is interesting about the older one is the newer one doesn't have this, which is a little bit less accurate. He has nice back printing, but he doesn't have a backpack like the older Snowtrooper. Now, the older Snowtrooper doesn't have any back torso printing, but I really like the older Snowtrooper helmet / backpack mold. If the perfect Snowtrooper was to exist, I'd say that it would probably have a backpack and it would have all the extra printing that this newer Snowtrooper has. I understand why they got rid of the backpack, just because it is a lot easier to seat these minifigures without it, but I still like the fact that the older one has it. Let's now take a look at the final 3 minifigures. Before we do that though, I just wanted to give you guys a view of the perfect Snowtrooper in my book. This is a mix of the old and new, so as you can see, he has the leg and torso printing of the new Snowtrooper, whereas he has the backpack / helmet from the older Snowtrooper. And I think this is as perfect as you can get it. Let me know in the comments if you agree, if you disagree, but I think that this Snowtrooper looks sick. And this is really where you start to see the differences between the minifigures in each of these sets. The older one had 2 Snowtroopers, the newer one had 3 Snowtroopers, but the older one also had 2 different minifigures. So if you like variety, you'd probably like the older one more. You get an AT-AT driver along with a Imperial officer. In the newer one, you get this awesome looking Scout Trooper. I'll actually just show off her face printing. And yeah, we'll get back into the minifigures. Let's show you guys the back torso printing. There is no back face printing on any of these minifigures, including the newer ones. Love the detail on all of them. The newer one is a little bit more detailed because they do have leg printing, but besides that, there's not a huge difference. Give you guys a view of the AT-AT driver's face printing, which is just a plain black face, same as the Snowtroopers. Overall, I still think I like the newer minifigures more just because it's easier to build your Snowtrooper army. But let's now get into the end of the review and get my final thoughts. Well guys, that was my comparison. Do hope you enjoyed it. Personally, yes, the older one definitely has more value. If you actually adjust it for inflation, it's worth about 15 US, whereas the new one's worth 20 US. So it is a cheaper price and you do get 4 minifigures. However, the minifigures I will say in the newer one are a better value. Why I say that? Well, you get 3 Snowtroopers and you get a Scout Trooper. You don't get one of the Imperial officers, and who needs a million AT-AT drivers? You don't need that. You're really looking for Snowtroopers. I know this because I actually bought 10 of these because I wanted 20 Snowtroopers. However, for value when you were talking money-wise, I will say that the older one definitely is a better price. I mean, yes, you get 4 minifigures and one of them is the Imperial officer, but it is a better value. But if you're looking at just an overall better set, I will say that the newer one probably takes the cake. I love the E-Wave blaster in the middle there, and the speeder bike is just a little bit better. Although the older one isn't bad, this little command station's not terrible looking. I don't mind it, but I don't think... with the E-Wave blaster and the speeder bike being improved, I think it is better. The snow landscape is kind of like filler in my books. We don't really need that, but it's not the end of the world. So basically, when looking at these 2 sets, I will say that the newer one is probably subjectively better. However, the older one has a better value since it would only be $15 in today's market. But let me know what you think about these 2 ones. Maybe which one's your favorite. Always interested to hear your guys' take. But yeah, that pretty well does the comparison. But if you liked it, leave it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, definitely consider subscribing and click that bell so you're notified for any future LEGO Star Wars comparison reviews. We do one of them every Tuesday, and yeah, they're interesting, especially when you take a look at 2 sets that are separated by 12 years. But that's all I got for you again. But thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.